There's been a lot happening in both the worlds of Skid Row and Sebastian Bach, with Bach recently releasing his first new solo album in a decade called Child Within the Man. It's available now, and he's also got a solo tour coming up. And as for Skid Row, the band recently parted ways with their vocalist Eric Gronwall, who's stepping down to focus on his health, and his family's been courageously dealing with some health issues. And they've got an incredible fill-in vocalist who's been doing some great shows with them. One of the best singers in rock currently, none other than Lzzy Hale, the singer of Halestorm. And certainly if she wanted to gig, you'd have to imagine it would be hers, given her talent. And here's a little bit of her up on stage performing with Skid Row. And so naturally, after Gronwall stepped down from the band, there were these questions about whether or not Sebastian Bach could be returning to the fold, given they've made so much incredible music together over the years and they have so many great hits. And as Bach says himself, I mean, it makes a lot of sense because they're playing the same songs out on the road anyway, so they might as well work together. But unfortunately, in a brand new interview with Dave Snake Sabo of Skid Row, he is shutting down these rumors that flare up from time to time, saying that no, there will not be any reunion with Sebastian Bach, and he gave a pretty clear reason for why he feels that way. First, here's what Bach said recently about potentially reuniting with his former band. And so this is what Bach told Metal Hammer in a recent interview. He said, "I can definitely see that happening, considering they play the same songs I play. When I get substantial royalty check from an album I did with musicians that I haven't been in the same room with since '96, I feel like a piece of shit, because we should be giving something back to the fans that have made this great life possible." And I agree with him on that. He said, "For me, doing 3 albums with Skid Row, I was just getting started. I didn't think it would be over and done so quick." So of course, as they mentioned here in this Metal Injection article, he was in the band from 1987 until 1996, with Skid Row reforming in '99. So I definitely agree here with Sebastian Bach that it would be great to see them get back together and really give back to the fans who have supported this music for so many years, these iconic songs they've written together like I Remember You. And Bach's voice, just even if you have an incredible world-class singer like Lzzy Hale, it's just the way Bach's vocals are on these songs, it would be amazing to see them get back together, and it would be a big tour. But unfortunately, on the other hand, you have the perspective of Dave Snake Sabo from the band as well, who has a very reasonable perspective of his own, and he explained why this is not something that's going to be happening, and also pointed out, hey, these shows with Lzzy Hale recently have been going really great, so when you have a world-class singer on your side like Lzzy, you might not be as inclined to go back to a situation that you might not feel great about. Here's what he had to say. Speaking to the Hook Rocks podcast, Skid Row guitarist Dave Snake Sabo was asked about whether or not the band had any new singers in mind. He said, "We haven't targeted anybody. If we want to continue with Skid Row, we're going to have to get another singer, but we haven't targeted anybody. There's a lot of great singers out there, but Lzzy just raised the bar, man, and Eric is a great singer. He raised the bar as well. And then Lzzy just came in there and just really raised the bar and showed us another side of what this band could be. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a male singer in Skid Row. The options are wide open, and like I said, there's so much talent out there, but we just want to make sure that we make the right choice and we can bring the band to another level. That's the hope." And then he was asked directly about whether they'd reunite with Sebastian Bach, and he said, "Well, the answer's been the same for, 20,000 years now. It's not going to happen. And I say the same thing every time. I'm thankful that people have such an interest in wanting to see that happen, but I also have to reiterate that this is about being happy in the situation that you're in. So I'll speak for myself personally." He continued, "First of all, I do need to say something too, is that the reason that this isn't happening is because there's 3 of us who've had conversations about this, and we've all been on the same page that we don't want to go down that road again. We don't." So for the members of Skid Row, it seems like they're personally happy and in a good place. They don't want to get into potentially a contentious situation with the former bandmate that it didn't work out. And he made some additional interesting comments about that on this podcast. He said later, "We've been just ripped apart by ex-members of the band and stuff. Ripped apart. Some really shitty stuff said about all of us, and we just chose not to respond. It's not who I am. It's not who we are. We won't go down that road. We just want to play music and be happy. This has never really been about a monetary aspect of things because it's known that we've been offered a good amount of money to do shows together and reunite with Bach and whatever. But it's just never been about the money, man. I choose my happiness, my willingness to continue to be a really good friend to my best friends and a really good husband and a really good dad and bandmate in person. You know what? Whether or not fans agree with what he's saying there, you got to respect that. That was a very well put response to that. And he's just keeping it real. And, you know, he knows what he wants and he knows what he wants in life. And I think that's perfectly fine. But unfortunately for the fans who were hoping that Sebastian Bach was going to return to the band, it really seems like this is not something that's going to happen, given Sabo's consistency over the years denying this, and he's never really in recent years alluded to any possible reunion for these former band members. So that's your latest update here from Rockfeed. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on for the latest news and updates about your favorite musicians.